Right, well, good afternoon, and we're here with Gordon Wilson, who's the President and Chief Executive Officer of Galileo, and Jeff Clarke, who's President and CEO of Travelport. Gentlemen, it's a very busy time for you. You've got potential purchases in the offing, you've got IPOs going on. It's nice to see you here. How can you afford the time?
Well, I think the WTTC conference is a great opportunity to bring together a load of the major decision makers and influencers in the world in travel. So for us, it's a great use of time because in one couple of days session, we can meet with some of the leading airlines, some of the leading tour operators, some of the leading technology companies in the world of travel and exchange views and ideas on some of the major issues affecting our industry today as an industry.
And the theme of this conference is managing growth, breaking barriers, green issues, sustainability, all those good things. Galileo and in fact Travelport have made some announcements at this show. Perhaps you can explain a little bit more about what they are, Gordon.
Sure. On the Galileo side, what we're trying to do is we believe that carbon emission treatment is really a matter of informed choice for travellers, whether they're corporate travellers or leisure travellers. Mm-hmm. So what we've been doing is looking at our system and actually working out for ourselves. So we've got a great deal of very useful information in terms of the flight schedules, the routings, the elapsed journey time, time in the air, time on the ground, type of equipment used, aircraft equipment used, which we can put into a data supply to our travel agency customers, be they TMCs or travel agencies, either as raw data or as a pre-packaged product, which then they can notify their travelling customers of, so the travelling customer can then make a decision about how to offset those carbon emissions that they generate through their trip.
So if my airline ticket was to have been sourced through Galileo, I could be told how much carbon CO2 my flight would emit.
That's right, with the precise details of the particular flight you're on, because there's too much generic stuff. What we want to do is to tailor-make the data.
Precisely to the aircraft and so on.
Exactly.
Excellent. And Jeff, what these initiatives, are they going to be into your consumer divisions as well?
Absolutely. For Orbitz, Cheap Tickets, eBookers, and all of our brands, what we want to do is offer the ability for a customer to offset their own travel by purchasing an offset. And we have an arrangement with carbonfund.org, a nonprofit, which allows that. And then the investment that, the donation, that the traveler puts in, that goes to either plant trees or do research in offsets, or often even to fund alternative energy.
And is this, do you think, the if you like, the tip of the green iceberg for Travelport in terms of their initiatives with green? What are the next stages? Are you going to try and audit your hotels and your airlines and stuff, things like that?
So a couple things. Even for this conference, where we have over 800 attendees, Travelport has decided that we will pay for the offsets for everyone, including you, for the event. And I think that's some of the responsibility we can all take at a micro level. When you go to an event, make sure that someone is paying for the carbon, whether it's yourself or one of the companies there. Other key elements for us in this area is transparency, as we've talked about, offsets, and then the whole responsibility, taking the larger sense of responsibility around this in every action we do.
I saw you speak last year, Gordon. You were talking about merging business data and leisure data. Do you think that's a help in actually encouraging people to stay in local hotels and to maybe get a fix, a culture exchange?
I think that's more a case of actually widening the choice for corporate travellers. I'm not sure that per se, widens the remit on carbon emissions. Apart from, increasingly to your earlier question, I think we're going to get some kind of ranking or assessment of hotels which are more eco-friendly than hotels that are not. It's probably not for us as Travelport to decide the ranking, but we're quite happy to work with any environmental independent body which does make that assessment. So again, travellers can decide by preference to stay in a more eco-friendly hotel than a less eco-friendly hotel.
And will those measures include, if you like, cultural, for example, examining the supply chain that hotels have, and is that the sort of thing you would have in mind?
Certainly, that'll be the components. The components will be their use of energy, their reuse of towels, any alternative investments that they have in there, and even the ability for consumers when they go to that site, even as a walk-in, to buy carbon offsets. So the whole environmental approach that the hotel takes.
So we're looking good on carbon from Travelport. I listened to you this morning. You were talking about that this market now presents a great number of opportunities. Obviously, Travelport well placed to exploit some of those. China has been mentioned in virtually every conversation I've heard at this Congress so far. How are Travelport addressing that? So rumours have it China has not always been the most hospitable towards online companies. What barriers are you having to break down there, Jeff?
Well, first, before I get into that, travel itself is growing extraordinarily fast, at about 1.5 times GDP, 4%, and it's about 10% of GDP today. So 10% of GDP growing faster than the overall rate of GDP. Certain areas like China, to answer your question, will be the fastest growing elements. We do not have a big online footprint in China, but we have significant opportunities with our Gulliver's travel business, where we are both helping people travel outside of China and people going inbound to China. And over time, we believe some of the barriers for online travel will dissipate there.
And I saw, I think that the Middle East, the Galileo in the Middle East, is it MQuest has just been renamed, the
right.
company, doing well there?
Yeah, the Middle East is a major market for Galileo, and it's a major growth market. As you might imagine, with the growth of Qatar Airways, Etihad, Emirates, and other services into the region, and the number of expats, and others working out there who then travel home and whatever, it's a booming, double-digit growth piece of the world for us. MQuest is our distributor with Emirates Airlines, and they continue to distribute Galileo through that. What they're doing is the right thing as a distributor. They're adding some localized product to complement the Galileo offering, which makes it even more compelling and competitive in that part of the world.
And even more sustainable, one would imagine. Final point, really, because I know time is tight for both of you. Weakness of the dollar, strength of the pound, good for me, not perhaps so good for Travelport.
Well, it depends. Certainly for European travelers or Asian travelers coming into the United States, it's quite strong. That's a great advantage. That the weak dollar makes their pounds or euros go farther, and the U.S. is a good destination for us on many fronts. From a GDS perspective, we typically have charged in dollars, and as such, we have not been disadvantaged per se. The one challenge is our costs are in euros, and there's a little bit of an offset in that area. But in general, compared to most companies, it's a relatively minor impact to us, and certainly for the U.S. market, it's going to be a strong thing for inbound travelers.
So we have a confident outlook as far as Travelport and Galileo are concerned for 2007, 8, 9, 10?
Absolutely. We're very excited about the industry. The industry is growing, as we said, about 4%. We should be able to grow at least that or better, given our geographic mix of business and the strength of some of our properties.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank
gentlemen.
you.
Cheers. That's
Thank
good.
you.